When a school bus has its lights flashing and its stop arm extended, you must A. Stop at least 10 feet away from the bus. B. Pass if children have exited the bus. C. Stop if the bus is on the opposite side of a barrier. D. Drive slowly past the bus. A. Stop at least 10 feet away from the bus. When a school bus is flashing its red lights and has its stop arm extended, you are required to stop at least 10 feet away from the bus, unless the bus is stopped on the opposite side of a divided highway. Your ability to stop is affected by A. Signal lights. B. Other cars on the road. C. The time of day. D. The condition of the road. D. The condition of the road. Your ability to stop is greatly affected by the condition of the road. You need to reduce your speed when road conditions are poor in order to maintain control of your vehicle. You will be at risk if you are driving too quickly on roads that are slippery and you need to stop. This sign means A. A left curve is ahead. B. A series of curves is ahead. C. An S curve is ahead. D. The road will be slippery when wet. D. The road will be slippery when wet. This sign warns that especially slippery conditions exist when the road is wet. When approaching a stopped school bus with its red lights flashing and its stop arm extended, you must A. Stop 5 feet away from the bus. B. Stop only if you see children are present. C. Stop and remain stopped until it appears safe to proceed. D. Stop and remain stopped until the red lights stop flashing and the stop arm has been withdrawn. D. Stop and remain stopped until the red lights stop flashing and the stop arm has been withdrawn. When a school bus stops with its lights flashing and its stop arm extended, you must stop at least 10 feet away from the bus. Remain stopped until the red lights stop flashing, the stop arm has been withdrawn, and the children have reached a safe place. This is the law whether you are approaching the bus from behind, approaching it from the opposite direction, or approaching it at an intersection at which the school bus is stopped.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
It is against the law for anyone under the age of 21 to fill in the blank. Alcohol. A. Serve. B. Wear clothing advertising. C. Be in the presence of. D. Transport. D. Transport. It is illegal in Pennsylvania for anyone under the age of 21 to buy or consume alcohol, have it in their possession, or have it in a vehicle that they are driving. Even if you are not driving, your driving privileges can be suspended if you are convicted of one of several alcohol-related offenses, including transporting alcohol. The law gives. Fill in the blank. The right-of-way at intersections. A. No one. B. Drivers turning left. C. Drivers going straight. D. Drivers turning right. A. No one. The law does not give anyone the right-of-way at intersections, it only says who must yield. Even when one driver is legally required to yield the right-of-way, if they fail to do so, other drivers are still required to stop or yield as necessary to avoid a crash. To help prevent crashes, you should A. Communicate with other road users. B. Ignore other drivers on the road. C. Drive only on side streets and back roads. D. Avoid driving during rush hour. A. Communicate with other road users. Crashes often happen because one driver does something that other road users are not expecting. You should communicate with other motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians by doing things like signaling when slowing down, stopping, or changing direction. Use your emergency signals or horn when appropriate. It is important to slow down. A. On narrow or winding roads. B. At intersections or railroad crossings. C. When the road is wet or slippery. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. You should always slow down when driving on narrow or winding roads, near intersections, near railroad crossings, on hills, in sharp or blind curves, where there are pedestrians or driving hazards, and when the roads are wet or slippery. Which of the following is true about driving on a wet roadway? A. As you drive faster, your tires become less effective. B. Water does not affect cars with good tires. C. Deep water is less dangerous than shallow water. D. As you decrease your speed, the roadway becomes more slippery. At night, it is hardest to see. A. Road signs. B. Pedestrians. C. Other motorists. D. Street lights. B. Pedestrians. Compared to signs and other roadside objects, pedestrians are hardest to see at night. Drivers who eat and drink while driving. A. Make no driving errors. B. Have trouble driving slowly. C. Are better drivers because they are not hungry. D. Have trouble controlling their vehicles. D. Have trouble controlling their vehicles. Choosing to eat, drink, or smoke while driving is dangerous because these actions require a driver to remove their hands from the wheel and their eyes from the road. Drivers who engage in distracting activities while driving have trouble staying in their lanes and controlling their vehicles. You may turn right on red if you A. Stop first and check for traffic and pedestrians. B. Are facing a red arrow. C. Are in the left lane. D. Slow down first. A. Stop first and check for traffic and pedestrians. Unless a posted sign prohibits turning right on red, you may turn right at a steady red light. You must first come to a complete stop and yield to pedestrians and other traffic. What should you be most concerned about when you see this sign? A. Driving with your headlights out of alignment because one side of your car is higher than the other. B. Damaging a tire from drifting onto the shoulder. C. Hydroplaning, if the shoulder has water on it. D. Losing control of the vehicle if you drift onto the shoulder. D. Losing control of the vehicle if you drift onto the shoulder. This sign indicates that the shoulder is lower than the road in the area ahead. If you drift off of the roadway and one wheel drops onto a low shoulder, do not slam on the brakes or steer sharply to try to get back onto the roadway. This could easily cause you to lose control of your vehicle. If you are driving on the interstate and pass your exit, you should A. Quickly cut across traffic to make your turn. B. Make a U-turn to go back to the exit. C. Continue driving and use the next exit. D. Put your vehicle in reverse to go back to the exit. C. Continue driving and use the next exit. Don't make a last-minute turn into an exit. If you pass your exit, you must go to the next one. Defensive driving is A. Identifying dangerous driving situations and taking action to avoid accidents. B. Defending yourself against poor drivers by getting ahead of them in traffic. C. Following the vehicle ahead of you at a close distance. D. Quickly changing lanes and shifting in and out of traffic congestion. A. Identifying dangerous driving situations and taking action to avoid accidents. You drive defensively when you identify dangerous driving situations and take action before an accident occurs. Defensive driving helps prevent conflicts with aggressive, offensive, discourteous, careless, inattentive, impulsive, ignorant, or intoxicated drivers or pedestrians. This sign means A. You must turn left or right. B. You are approaching a T intersection. C. The road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. D. You are on an overpass above a divided highway. C. The road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. This sign indicates that the road that you are on intersects with a divided highway. A divided highway is two one-way roadways separated by a median or guide rail. Roads freeze quickly when they are A. Flat. B. Curvy. C. In the sun. D. Shaded. D. Shaded. In cold or wet weather, you should take special care on sections of road that are shaded by trees or buildings. These areas freeze more quickly than the rest of the road and are the last parts of the road to dry. Teenage drivers are more likely to be involved in a crash when A. They are driving with their pet as a passenger. B. They are driving with adult passengers. C. They are driving with teenage passengers. D. They are driving without any passengers. C. They are driving with teenage passengers. Teenage drivers are more likely to have a crash when they are traveling with other teenagers as passengers than when they are driving alone or with adult passengers.